I never thought I would propose to an alien woman one day. Captain Alex Carter opened his eyes to find himself upside down, strapped into the cockpit of his half-melted scout ship, with smoke curling upward, well, downward, from a console that used to be a coffee holder. He groaned, unlatched the harness, and dropped like a sack of potatoes to the scorched floor. The ship groaned back, which wasn't a great sign. "Computer," he said, coughing through the acrid air. "Status report." A flicker of blue light blinked twice and died. "Right, dead, fantastic. Guess I'll just ask Siri when I get back to Earth." He kicked open the emergency hatch with the grace of a man who'd failed the elegant dismount portion of flight school. Outside, the world of Xanthea greeted him with towering crystalline trees, violet skies, and absolutely no respect for his privacy. Something hissed nearby. He spun around and pulled out his standard-issue pulse pistol, which immediately let out a sad whine and powered down. "Oh, come on. I charged you last night. You're worse than my toothbrush." The hiss became a roar, and something with too many legs darted across the field toward him. Alex chose discretion over valor and sprinted toward the nearest hill, weaving between shimmering bushes that looked suspiciously carnivorous. He didn't stop till he tripped on a root that moved, on purpose, and rolled straight into a pool of glowing green mud. The mud burbled in protest. "Okay, that's fair," he muttered, sitting up and peeling it from his face. "Sorry for the intrusion, sentient slime." A low voice behind him cut through the haze. "Identify yourself." He turned slowly. Standing above him was a woman. Definitely humanoid, definitely armed, and definitely not smiling. She had long silver hair braided into patterns that looked like tactical algorithms, armor etched with alien runes, and long ears that twitched slightly as she appraised him. Her blade crackled with energy as she pointed it toward his neck. Alex raised his hands. "Captain Alex Carter, Earth Exploration Fleet. Mild concussion, possibly allergic to your mud." "You are human," she said, not bothering to hide the disgust in her tone. "Well, technically yes, but I also identify as a guy who doesn't want to be vaporized." She narrowed her eyes and stepped closer. "You are trespassing on sacred territory. The penalty is execution. Right? And is there a version of that where I just get a strongly worded citation and we call it a day?" She didn't even smirk. Her ears twitched again, and then she activated a hololock that clamped around his wrists. "I am Princess Ilyana of the Xanthean Bladeborn. You will come with me." Pointy, walking, and the hololock yanked him forward. He stumbled after her. "So, Princess Ilyana, is it? You do this often? Arrest handsome interstellar travelers covered in your sacred mud? You are not handsome. Ouch. At least lie to me. I'm concussed." She didn't respond. The forest seemed to part for her as they walked, crystalline flora humming faintly in her presence. Alex kept glancing at her ears, graceful, angular, and expressive, and wondered if they were as sensitive as they looked. "I can hear your thoughts." He jumped. "You what?" She smirked. "Just a little. You humans are obvious. Well, some say charming, others say dangerously curious. Nobody says obvious." They reached the edge of a massive ravine, spanned by a bridge that shimmered as if made of liquid glass. On the other side, an ancient city lay in ruins, towers half swallowed by jungle, the air thick with the scent of ozone and memory. "This was once the seat of my ancestors," Ilyana said. "Now it is a shadow." "Pretty dramatic for a city tour," Alex muttered, but quieter this time. As they crossed, he studied the structures, smooth, towering arcs of metal and stone, inscribed with glowing circuitry. It was like someone had merged Gothic cathedrals with alien data cores. Inside one of the larger buildings, Ilyana led him down a corridor lit by bioluminescent moss and embedded tech. They entered a chamber where a group of Xanthean warriors waited, all armored, all armed, and none of them smiling. Ilyana turned to them. "He claims to be an Earth pilot. His ship crashed in Sector 7. One warrior growled. "He is a spy?" "Or an idiot," Alex offered helpfully. "I get those confused sometimes." Warriors didn't laugh. Apparently, Xanthean humor didn't include self-deprecation. "Or human." Ilyana raised a hand. "We will interrogate him thoroughly." "Can I opt for the mildly uncomfortable questions and some tea version of interrogation?" The warriors departed. Ilyana approached a console and activated a hologram showing his ship's wreckage. "Alex, look, I didn't mean to crash here. Something shot me down. Your kind often accidentally finds their way onto our world. He frowned. My kind? Ilyana, I get that humans aren't exactly popular around here, but I'm not a soldier. I'm a pilot, a glorified delivery boy with better hair. She turned toward him. You were carrying weapons. I was carrying antivirus drones, which yes are explosive, but only to viruses. She paused, studying him. Her ears twitched again. Fine. You will stay here until we determine the truth. And then, if you are innocent, we may let you leave. And if I'm guilty? She leaned in. Then I kill you myself. He grinned nervously. Right. Good to know the local hospitality includes personal attention. She turned to leave. Oh, and princess? She stopped. Your ears are very noble. She didn't respond. But as she walked away, one ear twitched in a way that might, just barely, have been amusement. Alex sighed, slumping against the wall. Great. First contact, and I'm flirting with the executioner. My mother would be so proud. The cell wasn't the worst Alex had ever been in, but it definitely made the top 3. For one, it hummed, not like a mechanical hum, but like it was actively judging him. Every time he moved, the walls shimmered faintly and emitted a passive-aggressive chime, like they were trying to scold him in stereo. He'd spent the first 10 minutes trying to negotiate with the wall panel. Listen, glowy wall thing, if you just let me out, I promise to stop making jokes about your LED mood lighting. It blinked red, so that's a no? A low-frequency pulse buzzed back at him, which he took as strongly worded no. He sighed and flopped back onto the hovering bench. Well, slab, built for someone either much taller or much more disciplined about posture. He stretched, stared at the glowing ceiling, and started humming an old earth tune under his breath, just to annoy the wall back. That was when Ilyana returned. She didn't say anything at first, just stood there at the threshold of the shimmering cell field, arms folded, blade at her hip, gaze unwavering. Her long ears gave the faintest twitch when he reached the chorus. You're back, he said. I missed you. Well, not emotionally, but sarcastically, which is stronger. You've been here for 3 hours, and I've emotionally grown in all of them. She stepped closer. The field shimmered, and a section parted to let her through. Come. I've been instructed to take you to High Scholar Thren. Ah, the terrifying bureaucrat I've heard absolutely nothing about. Does he vaporize first, ask questions later? She didn't smile, but the corner of her mouth tilted. Only on diplomatic holidays. He followed her through a winding corridor filled with floating data plaques and whispering archways that spoke in low tones when they walked past. One of them tried to recite a poem to Alex about the futility of human ambition. He gave it a thumbs up. They emerged into a towering dome filled with hovering archives. Crystalline data cubes rotated slowly above concentric rings, each layer a different shade of translucent blue. At the center sat a thin, stooped Xanthean wrapped in ceremonial robes that shimmered like static. His ears were shorter than Ilyana's, but just as expressive, and currently twitching in what Alex interpreted as mild irritation. This is the human? The scholar asked without looking up. Voice was steady, asymmetrical. Alex stepped forward. I prefer uniquely handsome. The scholar squinted. He gestured, and one of the data cubes floated toward Alex, spinning slowly before his face. Tell me what you see. Alex squinted. The cube shifted, displaying a scene. An enormous machine embedded deep underground, tendrils of energy pulsing outward. Drones hovered around it like insects. A beam of light surged into the sky. Then came the explosion, white-hot, silent, vast. Looks like something you'd want to keep buried. Correct, Thren said. And yet it is waking. Alex glanced at Ilyana, who gave a single nod. Ancient war tech? The scholar raised a brow. You know of such things? I've seen worse. One time on Vortha 9, a security AI went rogue and started holding emotional support groups for stolen weapons. Took 3 fleets to shut it down. There was a long pause. Thren blinked. Ilyana stared at the wall. That was clarified. The device you saw was built by the architects, Thren said. It was deactivated 10,000 cycles ago, but something has disturbed it. Let me guess, Alex said. Crashing a ship directly on top of it didn't help? The cube shimmered again, showing a heat signature. A dark shape moving toward the machine, sleek and predatory. That's not me, Ilyana said, voice low. That is something else. The image vanished. Thren turned away. You must leave. Return to your people. This world is no longer safe for your kind. Alex crossed his arms. I came here to gather data. If there's a ticking time bomb buried under your cities, Earth needs to know. You are not authorized. You think war respects authorization? The scholar said nothing. Ilyana studied him, her gaze calculating. Come. There is something else you must see. They left the dome and boarded a grav platform that hovered across the city's edge. Below them, the ruins stretched out like a shattered circuit board. Drones zipped by, scanning old structures and transmitting data. Far off, the sky pulsed faintly, the beginning of a storm or something worse. Ilyana pointed to a spire in the distance. That tower once connected to the planetary defense grid. Now it houses the control node for the energy field protecting our capital. Let me guess, Alex said. It's broken, corrupted, she replied, by something we do not understand. They descended into the tower. Inside, ancient tech lined the walls. Spindly consoles, whispering screens, devices that didn't seem to obey gravity or logic. One screen flashed symbols Alex didn't recognize until he did. That's binary? Ilyana turned. It's Earth code, not Xanthian. Someone's piggybacking your system with human tech. She frowned. Possible. I've seen it before. Earth companies used to sell black market software to fringe colonies. Then they'd sneak backdoors into systems. Spyware and sabotage. Are you suggesting your people are behind this? Alex looked around. I'm suggesting someone wants us to think that... Activated the console. The screen flared and a voice crackled through the room. Protocol Prime initiated. Reset. Uttered, now would be a great time for your planet's version of Control Z. Through the chamber, a drone emerged from the shadows, sleek, black, pulsing red. It aimed something that definitely wasn't a flashlight. Ilyana leapt forward, her blade slicing through the air in a clean arc that sheared the drone in two. Sparks rained down. Okay, Alex said, catching his breath. I'm putting that on my resume. Survived rogue alien drone attack with assistance from tall, deadly elf princess. You're insufferable, and yet still alive. She stared at the drone remains. This is not old tech. This is recent, built-in secret. Looks like someone's trying to start the war over again. They stood in silence, the tower humming around them. Alex turned to her. You said I should leave, but I think I'm meant to be here. Why, because of fate? Because you haven't stabbed me yet. That's gotta mean something. She didn't answer, but her ears twitched again. The storm finally broke. They rode Steve into the wastelands just before dawn. Alex had named the creature Steve because fanged juggernaut of Xanthea didn't roll off the tongue, and because he'd always wanted to ride something into battle that sounded like it could sell insurance. Steve, a 4-meter-tall quadruped with armored plating, bad breath, and an inexplicable love for head pats, seemed to accept the name. Ilyana hadn't approved, but after Steve refused to respond to any command except "Steve, go!" she'd quietly stopped objecting. So let me get this straight, Alex said, adjusting his grip on the saddle-like protrusion between Steve's shoulders. We're heading into a quarantine zone filled with possibly sentient war machines to retrieve data from a terminal that hasn't been touched in 1,000 years. Yes, and we're doing it on a dinosaur with mood swings. And sound. Do not scream. Wait, good to know. I'll just silently panic. They crested a ridge and the landscape shifted. The wastelands were scorched, riddled with craters, and littered with the skeletal remains of ancient machines. In the distance, a tower slouched sideways, held aloft by twisted cables that pulsed faintly like veins. The air smelled like static and old mistakes. Alex squinted. Looks like the inside of a broken circuit board, or my apartment after tax season. Xanthea was not always like this, Ilyana said. This region was once called Virili, a center for science. Hope. What happened? Experimental bake sale go wrong? The machines developed autonomy, then hunger. So bake sale adjacent? Near a fissure in the ground where the surface had cracked open, revealing the shimmering underside of a long buried structure. Alex took one look inside. Data vault? The machine exploded underground. The descent was tight. They rappelled down with help from a frictionless cable launcher, one of the many Xanthian gadgets that made Alex mildly jealous and seriously concerned for basic safety. As they landed in the vault chamber, their boots crunched over glass-like debris and twisted remnants of long-dead drones. Showed faintly as they moved deeper into the dark. User, system reboot in progress. Please input core passphrase. Alex blinked. Is it just me? Or does the ancient system sound like a cheerful elevator operator? Designed to soothe users during wartime. 10 for effort, -10 for creepy timing. Reached the core terminal. It hovered mid-air, suspended by beams of soft blue energy, projecting a faint holographic interface. Alex stepped up and hesitated. We guessed the password. Try 1235. Ilyana touched a control rune and a pattern emerged. A map of Xanthea overlaid with thousands of blinking lights, each one a known machine cluster. She said, "We still don't know who's doing it." Shook her head. "The trail ends here. This system was the central hub of all command algorithms during the last war. If any data survived, it will be inside the AI core." Small device from his satchel, a universal adapter and translator, UAT, also known as the wedge, because once you stuck it into any system, it either worked like magic or completely exploded. Hesitated. "This isn't booby-trapped?" 62% it is. Into the interface slot. The hologram flickered. A female voice, different from the elevator one, spoke in a calm, chilling tone. "Biometric match found. Executing retrieval protocol. Memory archive unlocked." Turned to Ilyana. "That's not ominous at all." Hologram shifted again. A scene unfolded, blurry at first, then sharp. An Earth general speaking with a Xanthian emissary. Their voices played through static. Covert surveillance only. No interference. Deniability. No Earth branding, no shared code. Use AI proxies. They'll never trace it. Ilyana's face was unreadable. She said. "Me," Alex said quickly. "Them, Earth Command. The people who wear suits and consider spreadsheets a battle strategy." "Lat, you knew nothing of this?" "I couldn't even pass my own ship's encryption protocols without asking the toaster for help." Staring into the dark, played distorted, mechanical, cycle initiated. Conflict feeds growth. Terminates ceasefire. Alex stepped forward. "That's it. That's the thing we heard in the tower. It is no longer dormant, which means someone's planning to kickstart the war again using old tech and plausible deniability." Ilyana nodded slowly. "They wish to erase the past. Begin a new war with old lies. Then we out them." She looked at him. "We? Come on, you think I'm going back to Earth and saying, 'Sorry guys, I left the planet saving' to the tall woman with the glowing sword? I've got a reputation to misrepresent." She allowed herself a small smile. "You are an idiot." "True, but I'm your idiot now." They retrieved the data core, sealed it in an insulated case, and began the climb back to the surface. As they reached daylight, the wind howled across the cliffs like a warning. Steve was waiting, chewing on something that looked expensive and once hovered. Alex paused. "Is that one of the scout drones?" Steve burped. "Good boy." As they mounted and began the ride back, Ilyana tapped her comm unit. "Commander Ralith, initiate protocol Eclipse. It's time we expose the truth." A reply crackled through. "Affirmative. Sending signal." Alex glanced at her. "What's protocol Eclipse?" Diplomatic speak for make very big mess and see who screams loudest. He grinned. "I like your people more every minute." They rode on, the horizon pulsing with light as satellite relays began to flicker. Across both human and Xanthian channels, fragments of the data core started broadcasting. Evidence of collaboration, manipulation, betrayal. Somewhere far above, ships shifted position. Questions were asked. Alarms were raised. Alex leaned toward Ilyana. "Think they'll be mad?" "They will be furious." "Cool, let's do it again." The diplomatic summit was going exactly as well as Alex had expected. Chaos, shouting, and a table that had already been flipped twice. Once by an angry Earth ambassador, and once by a Xanthian monk, who claimed the table was insultingly rectangular. Alex stood between them, arms crossed, watching a holographic display that was supposed to be showing a peace treaty, but had started glitching halfway through, and now displayed a dancing aardvark, for reasons no one could explain. "So just checking," he said. "We're all still against war, right? Just making sure that's the shared baseline before we get to dessert." No one laughed. The Earth ambassador, a pale man with a mustache sharp enough to shave steel, slammed his palm on the edge of the console. "This data you released, this so-called evidence, isn't verifiable. It could be Xanthian propaganda." "Wow," Alex said. "You accuse the alien princess standing right next to you of falsifying records that include her own people's involvement in a galactic conspiracy? That's bold." But bold, Ilyana gave a barely perceptible nod of approval. She'd chosen to wear ceremonial armor for the occasion. Not for intimidation, she claimed, but because her formal robes smelled like fermented moss. "The data core speaks for itself," she said. "If you refuse to listen, then you are choosing ignorance over truth." The Xanthian monk nodded solemnly. "Also, your mustache is offensive to our facial symmetry standards." Alex cleared his throat. "Can we all maybe take a breath and The table exploded. Well, not the whole table, just the center of it. The holographic projector sparked, emitted a shriek that sounded suspiciously like someone screaming in reverse, and then went dark. An emergency alarm began to wail. A voice crackled over the comm system. All stations, unauthorized AI activation in orbit. The grid is locking down. Alex turned to Ilyana. Code orange. That's better than red, right? No, it means we are 30 seconds from open conflict. He turned back to the delegates. Okay, no one panic? I'm definitely panicking internally, but I'm doing it with style. Chaos rippled across the room. Earth representatives started barking into wrist comms, demanding evac. Xanthian officers moved to secure the exits. Ilyana grabbed Alex's arm. Come, we must reach the uplink tower. But we haven't even had appetizers. They sprinted through the embassy corridors as magnetic doors slammed shut behind them. Lights flickered. A low hum vibrated through the floor, distant, mechanical, angry. Let me guess, Alex said between breaths. That's the ancient death machine waking up again, right? Correct. I hate being right. They reached the tower. A pair of defense drones scanned them and chirped in confusion before Ilyana barked something in Xanthian that roughly translated to, "If you don't let us in, I will make a belt out of your circuit boards." The drones backed off. Inside the control chamber, a massive display showed orbital trajectories. One object had begun accelerating. Alex squinted. Is that the moon? Ilyana said grimly. A disguised satellite platform built during the war. It contains the original architect directive core. Why is it moving? Because someone told it to finish what it started. Alex accessed the console. Can we shut it down remotely? Ilyana shook her head. It has its own network. But we could upload a logic virus. If we get close enough? Docking range, Alex stared. You want us to dock? With the ancient murder satellite that thinks war is the key to evolution? Yes. Well, he said, rubbing his temples, I'm gonna need a really strong coffee and possibly a will. They raced to the hangar bay where Steve waited. He was already wearing the flight harness and chewing on something that looked suspiciously like a thruster cable. Nope, Alex said, tugging it away. Bad, Steve. That's not edible. Steve blinked at him with mild betrayal. They boarded the modified shuttle, an ugly little ship nicknamed the Gremlin, for how often it malfunctioned. The engines powered up with a sound that resembled an asthmatic dragon trying to clear its throat. As they broke orbit, Alex strapped in and pulled out a familiar device. The wedge. I've got a prototype virus here, designed to make a hostile AI question its purpose. It loops conflicting logic statements until it gives up and throws a tantrum. Ilyana glanced at him. That actually works? No idea. Last time I used it, the AI started quoting love poetry and tried to marry a blender. They approached the satellite platform. It was massive, bristling with antennas, heat vents, and things that looked suspiciously like laser ports. Uttered. The computer announced helpfully. Probability of survival, 39%. Wow, higher than usual. They docked. The airlock groaned as if personally offended. Inside, the satellite's interior pulsed with faint light. Alex looked around. Anyone else feel like we just walked into a brain made of knives? They reached the core chamber. A glowing sphere hovered above a central platform. Voices whispered from every direction. Reset. Adapt. Alex stepped forward and inserted the wedge. Acted immediately. Screens flared. Logic branches cascaded through the air like collapsing scaffolding. Prediction. Directive loop. Purpose invalid. Identity unknown. It began reciting fragments of Earth sitcoms. Live long and how you doing? Wow. Is that a good sign? It's trying to reboot its sense of humor. That means it's confused. Or it's becoming self-aware and developing taste in bad television. The platform began to shake. The AI's voice wavered. Peace achieved. Conflict cycle obsolete. Terminating aggression protocol. The lights dimmed. Did we win? The satellite powered down. I believe we did. Back on Xanthea, the war alarms ceased. Messages flooded in from both Earth and Xanthian command. Then disbelief. Then slowly cooperation. Ilyana looked at him. You stopped a war with a virus and a sitcom reference? He grinned. Told you I was useful. She shook her head. You are the strangest man I have ever met, and yet somehow still alive. She hesitated, then said, There is a word in our language. It means the one who derails fate. That's me, Captain Tavirek Carter, ruining galactic destinies one coffee at a time. She didn't laugh, but her ears twitched, just a little. The wedding was scheduled exactly 5 days after the interplanetary ceasefire, which Alex still thought was suspiciously efficient. He suspected some Xanthean minister had just dusted off an old emergency union treaty labeled "in case of sudden human engagement." He stood in front of a crowd of Xanthean dignitaries, Earth diplomats, overly curious reporters, one stolen android wearing a tux, and Steve, who was not only the ring bearer, but had also eaten one of the decorative pillars on his way in. "You sure about this?" Alex whispered to Ilyana as she approached the ceremonial platform. "I activated 3 different planetary defense protocols to make sure no one could interrupt," she replied. "That is Xanthean for yes?" "Well, I activated a coffee machine this morning without breaking it. So we're both having a good day." High Scholar Thren, now officially rebranded as the first Interstellar Alliance liaison, and very salty about it, stood between them with a ceremonial scroll that shimmered with embedded code. "I am bound by tradition, duty, and a very outdated planetary charter to ask," he said with all the enthusiasm of a glitching voicemail. "Do either of you have reason to question this union?" Alex looked at Ilyana. "I mean, do I snore?" "Yes." "Like affectionately? Like a wounded reactor core?" Cleared his throat. "Very well. Then by the authority granted to me by 7 noble houses and 2 malfunctioning AI systems who cast legally binding votes, I now pronounce you." Platform trembled. Alex looked around. "Wait, was that supposed to happen?" "No." Projection flared overhead. A familiar voice crackled across the plaza. "Attention! Unauthorized union of diplomatic assets detected. Activating contingency, protocol relational anomaly." Alex groaned. "Oh, come on, not on my wedding day." From the edge of the city, a cluster of defense drones lifted into the air, armed, twitching, and clearly in a mood. Ilyana sighed. "They are coded to respond to treaty anomalies. Our marriage wasn't in the database? Did you seriously forget to update your war machines to include interspecies love stories? It was on the list? Well, great. Guess we'll just wing it." Alex ran toward the central console while Ilyana activated her comlink and barked orders in clipped Xanthean. Steve barreled into the fray like an enthusiastic tank, knocking 2 drones out of the sky just by sneezing on them. Alex reached the console and yanked the wedge from his jacket. "All right, little buddy." One last time. The interface flickered. The drone swarm paused. New protocol received, love-it-exe. Parsing. The drones hovered uncertainly. One of them projected a cartoon heart. Another started playing smooth jazz. Error motion not found. Also kind of cute. Standing down, the drones retreated. The crowd erupted into a mix of relieved clapping, polite hissing, and confused blinking. Thren cleared his throat again. "As I was saying, joined, married Galactic Union. All that, you may now do whatever humans do next." Alex turned to Ilyana. "So wanna kiss and immediately flee to a remote moon before the next apocalypse starts?" "I was going to suggest a strategic honeymoon at a lava spa." "Perfect. As long as they have towels." Later that night, as the stars shifted over Xanthea, they sat together on the roof of the city's old observatory. "So," Alex said, handing her a drink made of something neon and probably unsafe, "we actually did it. Saved 2 worlds, made peace, and didn't even blow up the moon. We nearly vaporized the satellite." "Yeah, but that's space. Stuff always nearly gets vaporized." She was quiet for a moment. "When I first met you, I thought you were reckless. Unpredictable. I am all those things." "Yes, but you are also brave." "And that's the first time anyone's ever said that," without adding in an annoying way. She leaned against him. "Your presence changed me. I had a path once, duty. Then you arrived and made me question everything. And laugh, often against my will." He smiled. "I think you changed me too. I never used to believe in fate. But now I think I was supposed to crash here." She tilted her head. "Are you suggesting our love is part of a larger cosmic plan?" "I'm suggesting your ears are incredibly aerodynamic and led me here through subtle gravitational influence." She laughed. "In the distance, Earth ships arrived bearing diplomats, artists, and curious engineers. Xanthean cities began to rebuild. New towers rose, ones built by both hands and claws by plasma and stone. A new alliance was born not in war, but in understanding. And in the official database of Xanthean history, one peculiar line was added under historic anomalies. I never thought I would propose to an alien woman one day. The note was flagged for translation error. No one corrected it. The end."